Two things that you will hear me say all the time. Number one, you must use your business as a vehicle for wealth creation. And the second thing that you hear me say all the time is you must create wealth that future generations can add to. I'm Joe Doyle. To me, business is not something you just do from 9 to 5, it's a way of life. Being a former bricklayer turned property investor, I managed to bounce back after being almost crushed in the last recession. I know exactly what it takes to succeed in business, and now I'm on a mission to show all the overworked and unrewarded self-employed people of Ireland how to make real money from their efforts. Two things that you will hear me say all the time. Number one, you must use your business as a vehicle for wealth creation. And the second thing that you hear me say all the time is you must create wealth that future generations can add to. Just think of that. Create wealth that future generations can add to. But the problem is, most businesses and most business owners, most entrepreneurs, they never create wealth. So I want to create wealth that future generations can add to. So I spend a good bit of time with two of my nephews. One is Linda's nephew and the other one is my nephew. One of them is 9 and the other one's 8. And I'm thinking now, I need to start molding these guys. I need to get these guys in the mind frame that this is what they need to do. They need to come into my business later on and they need to add to that. So as part of that, I'm kind of taking that on myself nowadays to get these guys into the work mode, and I'm always having them doing little bits and pieces with me. And so my plan is to get these guys in, mold them in from a young age, so in 10, 20 years time they can start, you know, being like another version of me, and they can push forward. Because let's be honest, we've done the hard work. If you're going to aim to have 1,000 houses, if you're going to aim to have 1,000 houses, surely the first 100 would be the most difficult to get. And if you're going to aim to get 100 houses, surely the most 50 will be the difficult. Well, surely the first 50 will be the most difficult to get. So I'm not exactly too sure how their parents feel about it, but I'm molding these guys into pushing forward and letting them know what I do on a daily basis. And I'm always bringing them around to see a bit of work that I'm doing, and I'm happy to do a bit of physical work while these guys are on the scene and just get them stuck in. So today we started off with Cayden was just with us today, and Cayden is Linda's nephew, and we started off with basically a run around the park. Well, Cayden wanted to go on his bike, I brought Arya with us in our pram, and it just turned out that I was basically chasing Cayden around the park for a while. Oh, and by the way, when you hear all the sound effects, they were the condition of the video. Cayden would only get in the video if we put in lots of sound effects, so we had to put them in just for him. After running around the park for a while, it was back to the house. We had some breakfast, and then we had to go down to our office. Well, I had to go down to my office, our office as I'm calling it. To go down to the office because there was weeds growing up outside from just nobody being around for a while. Oh yes, good job. So we got stuck in, Cayden had the gloves on, we done a little, you know, we done a good job. We done a before picture, then we done an after picture. Cayden had the gloves on, he was geared up, he was ready to go to war on these weeds, but some of the weeds were just too strong for him.
God, Joe, I can't.
Okay.
I can't get it. You try. I'll go. Oh, God.
Oh,
got it.
First shot. But he put a good effort in, and I'm happy, and he's happy with his performance for the day. The most important thing is it's work. So it was hard work for Cayden. It was hard. He could see me working hard, and you know, when these guys leave school, I want them to know what it's like to work hard. I want them to know what hard work is like, and I want them to be not afraid to get stuck into these things. And that's what it's all about. We need to start them at an early age. I always believe that the best thing a child can see is a healthy, happy, hard-working adult. And that's the role that I like to fulfill in these guys' lives. Bring them in, show them what's going on, bring them into the office, all these different things. When I bring them into the office, I let them photocopy their hands on the printer and all. You know, we need to keep a bit of fun, but at the end of the day, they need to know it's work, and they always get paid then for doing a bit of work as well. So who knows where the guys will want to go when they're picking their own kind of career path. Will they go into the trades? Will they be a painter, a plasterer, a plumber? Will they want to go straight into the property side of things? Doesn't really make a difference to me once they know exactly what it's like to work hard, and they know that they have to work hard. And they always ask me questions about the business, like, do you own that house, John? Do you own that house, John? Do you own that house, John? I bring them with me, and I talk to them in a way that you wouldn't expect adults to talk to a kid. But I talk to them about borrowing money off banks and collecting rent and all these different things, and I'm trying to just open their eyes to it, you know. And really this whole concept of creating wealth that future generations can add to. So where all this create wealth that future generations can add to, where that came from, where that seed got planted in my mind, was that I went to Spain a couple of years ago to do a property training course. And look, it wasn't the most advanced course. It was okay, but I was happy to go more as a refresher, and it was good for me to, you know, well, I always know that's good to spend time with like-minded people. Anyways, we're having a sit down at dinner one evening, and this lady asked me, you know, what's your name, what do you do? And I'm chatting away, and I says to her, well, what's your name, what do you do? And to be honest, at this point in time, I don't even know her name. But she said to me, I'm a portfolio manager for one of the biggest private landlords in the UK. I'm like, really? Explain to me what that is. And she's telling me the story, but she kind of gave me the gist of the story. Basically, a Jewish family after the war bought out, bombed out plots of land all around London, and rather than selling them, they kept them. So they kept them and they kept adding to them, and the people who she works for, they're now in their 60s and 70s, and it was their parents who started that, you know, 70 years previous, or whatever the case may be. Do the numbers after the war there. But it took just one generation to set up and the next generation to add to, and they became the biggest private landlord in the UK. And that thought just goes around in my head all the time. Whereas before, right, I would be kind of comparing myself, and whether you realise you're doing it or not, if you're doing it either consciously or subconsciously, but you're comparing, you know, when you're talking to people like, oh, how's he getting on there? Does he know something I don't know? Or do I, you know, am I doing okay in comparison to him? Or how's his journey going in comparison to my journey? But really the comparatives that I had at all times was the guy you'd bump into at the counter in the builder suppliers. You'd, oh, how's it going? I see you're building that house. How's that going for you? Oh, yeah, good. You know, we're going to sell it on. Great, you know. See you build another one as well. Yeah, well, I'm at the doing 2 this year. And we go. So you'd be looking at, these were the people that you were interacting with or having a kind of chit chat about the whole property journey that they were on and you were on. And the difficulty, I believe, in getting ahead when you're comparing yourself to people at that level is that you're not thinking big enough. So ever since I had that conversation, probably a couple of days after I had that conversation, it's been in my head fairly frequently that create wealth that future generations can add to. So as I progress, you know, I'm 36 now, so I can do this for another 30 years without being too much hassle, and I would expect to cover a lot of ground in the next 30 years, and then the guys can come in and they could add to that, and who knows where we would go after that. But I only need to set a couple of rules, like, you know, when a mortgage is paid, don't go back to leveraging it again. Don't do speculative deals. Stick to the process, stick to the strategy. I won't get into the rules I'll be setting now because it wouldn't be fair. I have to sit down and put a bit of proper thought into them. But I've put the foundation in place. This is how multi-generational wealth can get created if you get it to the right people, because they say the first generation creates it, second generation adds to it, third generation destroys it. I think that's what they say, but you know what? Let's go for it and see where we can go and see how far we can get. Yeah, so while my benchmark was at one point comparing myself to, you know, guys that had 3 or 4 houses, since that day when that woman told me she worked for the biggest private landlord in the UK and telling me stories about our bosses owning their own private jets, I'm like, that's what I want to be. That's who I want to compare myself to. So just recently I was chatting to a guy and he said to me, I'm doing work for this company. Do you ever hear of the LRC group? I'm like, no. Shout out to LRC group. Anybody knows that the guys in there, attempt to give me a shout. I want to be friends with them. But these guys are a big player, specialising in the acquisition of pan-European portfolios, and they've got absolutely like thousands of units. They've got 6 billion euros worth of assets, right? 6 billion euros worth of assets. Let me go back on here, and there's me with my like little minuscule 11 million, and these guys have like 6 billion. I'm like, wow, you know, I want a piece of this. They've got stuff in they've got property in different countries. They started in 1995, 6 international offices. They've got a lot of property, and I'm like, you know what? That's who I need to compare myself to. That's who I want to be going after. There's no point in comparing yourself to the guys that have a small number of properties. They got 13,000 plus residential units according to their website. I'm like, that's the level I want to be operating at. You might have seen the photos that I put up from time to time of their keyboard hanging in the office. So like, you know, that keyboard has like 100 spaces on it, and I'm on a mission to fill that as quick as I can, and we're just about halfway filled now. And as soon as that's filled, I'm like, right, get a big one, get a big one, get a big one. but you need to just have this drive and this determination to keep going, and that's what I'm at. I want to turn this into something big. That's my plan. Turn it into something really, really big. When you see the likes of that LRC, and there's loads of them out there that have hundreds and thousands of properties all over Europe, all over the country, I'm like, that's the level I want to be operating at. So in the last couple of days, we just closed off a couple of deals that were actually supposed to close 4 or 5 months ago, and it was a nightmare. They just dragged on and on. We sold 2 houses and we bought 2 more out of the proceeds from them houses, and we increased our rent roll. But we got them over the line, we got them closed off, refurbs just about sorted, tenants moved in, all that good stuff, and they're only doing, I'm like, right, what's next? Back onto the next one, back onto the next one. You just need to keep that push on. So as we finish off those deals, we've got the other deals that are kind of on the back burner, and we're like, right, get them in, and we're pushing, and this is the challenge. This is what we're going after. And I think it's a bit of a shame that so many people don't have that push, or don't have that, maybe they don't have that belief that they can do. And you know, if you follow my story or you follow me on any social media, you'll know that I used to be a bricklayer, and that was my plan, just to move away from that and get towards here. But there's so many people like tradesmen, and they're just not, they haven't got this going on. But you have to start somewhere. You know, every journey starts with a single step. The first property I bought was a single property. You know, I bought the house next door to my mother's house. We all have to start somewhere. So I just strongly recommend people to, you know, pick a target, go after it. You can always rejig it and reevaluate if you have to, but you know, get started today. Who knows where we could end up? You know, people say like, oh, what if this happens, what if that happens? There's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now, no doubt about that. But I'm creating wealth that future generations can add to. So those houses that we just bought recently, and the next house we buy, I don't ever intend to sell them. I never intend to sell them. My plan is to just keep them, and keep them for as long as my grandchildren can collect rent from them. That's my plan. And just keep building it and live off the rent. Like, what? It doesn't need to be much more complicated than that. Put it this way, it's more difficult to run a business and have no wealth creation plan in the background than it is to create a business, run a business, and have a wealth creation plan in the background, because the wealth creation plan is what keeps you going on the days that you doubt yourself. You look at your keyboard and you see how many keys you have hanging there, you know, or you look at your rent roll and you're like, thank God I'm doing this, because businesses go through peaks and troughs. But you buy a property once, you know, you can rent it forever. And because so many people don't have this going on in their life, that's what I believe. That's my job, to show people it can be done, to inspire people, to educate people. A big part of what I do is I teach people how to do with their business and with their investments, what I'm doing with mine, or with their money, what I'm doing with mine. And like, I have a belief that every man should own his own family home outright, and he should have 4 rental properties. At least then he's got his home, that's paid for, that's safe, that's secure. He's got 4 rental properties. Every month 4 rent checks come in, and you know, in the event of him not being able to work, at least that's income for the family. And I just think it's very dangerous not having something like that, because who knows what's around the corner. So let me explain to you a little bit about how we do it, right? So we're using our business as a vehicle for wealth creation, right? So I've basically got 2 businesses. I've got my property rental business, and then I've got my training business, where I help tradesmen, sole traders and builders. I help them get better at their business. So I help them make more money from their business on a daily basis, and then when they start making more money, I show them how to use that money to make more money through property. You pay your man 14 days after you complete the job. You should never have cash flow issues, because you're getting paid, you're paying your man when you get paid. We basically have all of our bills paid for by our rent, okay? And then any money that we create from our training business, we just use that to buy more properties. And that's pretty much using our business as a vehicle for wealth creation. Now, it took a long time to get to that point, but we started, and that's the most important thing. And once you start, you can just keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. But the problem is, most people don't start. So guys, there's no excuse. Get out there, make a plan. You might need to shift it, you might need to change it. You might fail, but sure, if you don't have a plan, you're failing anyway. You're failing by default. So get out there, go after it. You never know, you might fail. And if you need any help, give me a shout. I'm very accessible, info@joedoyle.ie. I'm always happy to answer any questions, or get back to you with any queries. Thanks for watching. See you at the top.